What is up, dudes, dudettes, and all my beautiful people of the interwebs? Bloody Knuckles here, aka the native nerd and gothic gamer, and your resident anime king. And today is a very special day, as this is going to be my first solo video doing little reports on things that I find interesting, and hopefully that y'all enjoy it. And this one is something that was very interesting to me, as it has a lot of implications for the future of not just the anime industry, but movies and everything that kind of goes with it. And that's something important to me as a cinephile, as an anime enthusiast, and really wanting to see change. And what the story is that a few days ago, there were reports that were coming out from The Hollywood Reporter, the LA Times, as well as even an announcement from Crunchyroll themselves on their public Twitter account about new members being sent invitations to the Academy Awards members, to their board of trustees and things like that, to their large selection process. And the interesting thing about it is that it was their highest invitation rate in years, because it was 928. And this is a strong push from the Academy Awards for diversification, because out of the 928 that were sent out, over half of them were for women, as well as 40% of all the invitations were for people of color. And this is a great thing after we saw the shakeup last year at the Academy Awards, where Guillermo del Toro's movie A Shape of Water had really swept the awards, had really been hailed so well as seeing the success of Moonlight, which was another really well received movie and much beloved to a lot of people. And it's good to see that we're starting to see that switch up and change of things, and start to see movies like these get more recognition than what we've seen in the past. And I think with them adding and making the strong push is a good thing to make that change towards more inclusion and a bit of a more diverse perspective, because in the 90 years of the Academy Awards there has been a very set tradition, and things weren't always looked at before or well respected or received, because of the fact that they weren't what was perceived as classic, or what the much older audience or the much older members would see. And the biggest thing is that with a lot of the people that were invited, Dave Chappelle was asked to join, and he's a very huge comedian. Amy Schumer, I believe, was sent an invite as well. Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife, is a very successful woman, was asked to join. Mindy Kaling of the Mindy Project and a lot of what her solo stuff is, she was sent an invitation. Tiffany Haddish was sent an invitation. The co-writers of The Big Sick, Kumail Nanjiani and Emily Gordon, were also asked to join as well. But the biggest implications here for what this entails, and the possibilities, especially for the anime side of things, is that they actually asked several industry veterans to join the association and join their committee. And one of the biggest ones is Makoto Shinkai-san. And if you don't know that name, it's understandable, because he was the director of Your Name, the biggest movie biggest anime movie especially, that has come out in the past decade, because that movie sold so well in Japan and globally that it was one of very, very few movies that ever has outdone anything done by Hayao Miyazaki himself. And he was invited to join into the board of members for the Academy Award Association, as well as Momoro Hosoda-san, who directed Wolf Children and Summer Wars. I completely flubbed that up. But having someone like Hosoda-san being invited to the Academy Awards has such big implications, because of how well perceived Wolf Children was when that premiered back in 2012, 2013, as well as his previous films with Summer Wars, as well as The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. As well as another person that they invited as well is Yoko Kanno-san. And if you don't recognize the name, maybe you recognize Cowboy Bebop. Well, she was the composer for that whole series. Actually, she's been the composer for quite a number of series and is such a talented and legend in the anime industry for her music and compositions that she is well deserved for this invitation. And to have someone like her on the association really helps out a lot, as well as one of the others that I recognized was Suno Katabuchi-san, and he was the director of last year's movie and This Corner of the World. It wasn't as big as like Your Name or A Silent Voice, but still he was someone who made something that was still relatively well received. And with that really helps to bring a lot of diversity as well as more looks at anime in the industry, because for the longest time anime films were always overlooked, because especially with cartoons and animation, anime is done in such a different style than your typical Western cartoons and animation, especially if you look at the days of Disney. The way that their animation process was done, it's significantly different, because while Disney and other modern Western cartoons were done, I believe they were done at 24 frames a second, which is what is more respected. Anime back in the day was done at 12 frames a second. And a lot of the older members of the Academy Awards didn't really see that as a cartoon or as proper animation, because it was such a significant difference in styles and things like this. So having such big veterans who've made such successful films as well as music and so much history within the industry as part of the Academy Awards, that really does have some implications that we might start seeing a little bit more respect for that, because the Academy Awards has always overlooked a lot of anime films. The only ones that weren't ever overlooked was some of Studio Ghibli's films by Hayao Miyazaki, such as Spirited Away, which is one of the only anime films to ever win an Oscar, the only film. And think of Hayao Miyazaki's legacy, what movies he's done, and this is the only film to ever receive an Oscar out of years, decades worth of films, and that was the only one. Not even something like Princess Mononoke or Howl's Moving Castle, things like that. This was the film that won. The sad part about it, though, is he has declined invitations to the Academy in the past, and that's a sad thing because he has such a strong voice in the industry. However, I understand why he's done it in the past, and that's because of the fact that he's dedicated his life to wanting to do and draw and stick to what he does. He never needed the awards or the recognition to do any of that. So him kind of declining those in the past, did kind of hurt the industry as the respect, even though he was well respected and they wanted him to join. He wanted to continue focusing on his art. But now that we're starting to see more veterans of the industry and more respected people also being invited, that does have such strong implications for the future of the Oscars. Sure, we can go with what Jose Ferris, and if you don't know who that is, he's the director of the game Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, as well as A Way Out, and we can go with fuck the Oscars for a reason.
Okay, can you swear here? Can you swear? Okay, fuck the Oscars, fuck the Oscars, fuck you. I'll tell you. This is bullshit.
Yeah, he's crazy, and I like that guy. But with this being the case and this being said, this has a lot of big things to come. So I really hope that we see more inclusion in next year and see more of these directors and these veterans of the anime industry really step up and get invited out and be able to put a voice, because there are so many well done, phenomenal films that are only able to really be told in anime, because of the fact that not everyone is willing to touch some of these subjects. Especially if you look at a film like A Silent Voice, or what's coming out later this year with I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. Again, misnomer. Look it up. It's something to explain. Whatever. we don't see many films that touch on such realistic subjects like that too often. I think the last one that I believe that I saw that really went into that was like 50-50 with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen, and that was a really well done film. But you know, I just kind of want to hear y'all's thoughts on this, because I find it to be such an interesting thing. It's such well implications on what's going to be coming for the future. So hopefully y'all kind of see and agree with that too. So definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I definitely want to see here. Of course, y'all can reach me out on Twitter, and all my links to all my social media and stuff will be in the description down below. So definitely reach out to me and let me know. But I really hope y'all enjoyed this, and I really hope y'all want to see more. But from me to y'all, I'll peace out and check you later. I got a Detroit dash.